Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We are going to get started in just a minute, so hang tight and we will let everyone get logged on and get signed in and join us, and then we will get started in just 1 minute. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. We are still getting people signed in, but we are going to go ahead and get started. My name is Allison Farrell, and I'm with Daxko. And with us today is Christy Swann. She is our wonderful adoption consultant, and you are here for the session, which is about cutting costs and streamlining processes with Daxko Operation and our utilization report. So Christy is going to be leading us through some ways that we can look at streamlining things within Daxko Operations, and different ways to kind of bring that functionality all in house in Daxko Operations. But as a few housekeeping notes, if you have any questions throughout the webinar, please submit them. We will be taking questions, so send that through the Q&A panel, or send us a chat if you've got a question. We'll be monitoring that as well. We will designate some time at the end, but please just submit them whenever throughout the webinar they occur. And then we are also recording this session, so if you have to jump off for any reason, or if you want to watch later or share with your team, we will record it and send out the link in an email and post it on Daxko's Connection. And then everyone has been muted, so to cut down background noise. But again, as I said, if you've got a question, please feel free to chat or send it through Q&A. And as I mentioned, Christy's going to be leading us through the content today. She sits as our adoption consultant, so she has lots of years of experience in YMCAs and has been with Daxko to really look at how our customers and how all of our partners are utilizing our systems and looking at ways to continue to drive value and find ways to streamline and understand your usage of Daxko Operations. And I'm Allison. I'm our brand manager, and will be Christy's sidekick for today.
Hi, everybody.
So as I mentioned, we are looking at ways to streamline processes. So what does that mean? That it's looking at ways that you are currently using Daxko Operations, and if there are ways to utilize some functions within the system to make your team more efficient, to find value where you may not be using a particular function. So wanting to really drive your adoption and drive your processes forward, and look at all the ways that you're currently using it, and then maybe some ways that you or your team are not currently using it. So we're going to look at kind of 3 main areas today of different types of processes that involve Daxko Operations, and some ways that your teams can become more efficient or start doing a process that could benefit your operations. So Christy, the first kind of topic for discussion, are you digitized? So can you lead us through some ways and kind of go in some detail about ways that we can look at making some processes digital, and really capturing that benefit of having a digitized system?
Sure. Yeah, so we're going to talk about digitizing information, especially nowadays that we are trying to become a contactless society and be able to do things according to the new normal that's coming through COVID. One of the things that that can help you digitize this information is the attendance tracker, which is integrated into the childcare module within Daxko Operations. So within the attendance tracker, you actually have the ability to go ahead and actually capture signatures. So Allison, if you'll forward to the next slide, that'll be great. Thank you. So this is a screenshot of actually when you're inside of the attendance tracker and logged in what we call our staff mode. We do have two different modes. We have a parent mode or a staff mode, but knowing nowadays that you actually want to probably keep as many people's hands off of one thing or another, or not touching a screen altogether, you'll probably be using the staff mode more. Within this is a screenshot to show you that you have the ability for all of your registrants in your child care and camp programs. They are fully integrated into this website automatically on the day that they are registered for those instances. And then from there, you can pare down by the program if you like, and or you can choose one child or multiple children to check in. When you check them in, you'll have the ability to capture a signature. That signature is then time, date stamped. And then you can actually report in that in Daxko Operations through a signature report. And you can also get the time in, time out information from the attendance tracker and the child care dashboards. One of the things that is fairly new within the attendance tracker is that you can view a registrant's profile within this process. So you'll see that there's a link on the screen. And if you click on that, it will take you to, if we'll go to the next slide, Allison. On this is a view of a profile that is available within the attendance tracker for a registrant of the program. Within this, you can see that this person is registered for several programs and over the period of time. You actually have a link to the Q&A, which is any questions that you have asked within the questionnaire in your child care registrations, they will show up here. So that then this gives great insight to your site coordinators, your counselors, whoever who may need to gain some information about a child very quickly, instead of getting in contact with someone who has the paperwork that's been filled out by the parent that's filed away somewhere. You can easily look at this Q&A information and find that information to easily be able to get in additional data on the child that's registered for your program. Also, you'll note that on here, you'll see notes that is available. These are notes that are on the child's profile on the unit that are indicated as child care notes. What's really great about this not only has an integration into the attendance tracker, but it also does integrate into your child watch area check-in. So if you have a preschool program where the child may be coming to your preschool program sometimes, and then another time they may be checked into your child watch area, there could be a note that shows up in both areas that is viable to your staff to make sure you're providing accurate care to those children. Another thing you'll notice on the screen is you'll see a listing of all authorized pickups. So a question might be, well, what is authorized pickups, Christy? It's a great tool that is out there on the unit profile that actually you can, instead of capturing through your Q&A, all of those people that may be able to pick up or drop off a child for your child care program, they can actually put that data into the unit profile, and it integrates into the attendance tracker if you so choose to have it. And within that process, then you can actually know and choose within an authorized pickup that signature as they are dropping off or picking up also. And then last but not least, you can see you've got a nice little link up here for Gabe, and see all the information that feeds over from his unit profile, along with the factor that you'll have a link in order to actually email out to Gabe if you want to from this area. Some of these views on this screen are permission-based. So depending on what you want to provide to a person or a user of this, you can actually pare down those permissions if you like. One of the other great things that is on the attendance tracker is for your directors and your site coordinators. So Allison, if you'll move to the next page. Within the attendance tracker, we actually have a site dashboard. So what we wanted to do is provide insights to your directors, your coordinators, or whatever, to easily be able to go into the attendance tracker and be able to report how many children are on site, how many people have attended day versus how many are registered. So you can easily kind of have that overview of all your sites that are going on, whether they're on site at your Y or at your J or wherever they are occurring. You can actually report on those at any time. This is permission-based, so that you can have this given to some of your users, but not all of your users. Again, the last thing to note, as I've said several times, but just want to reiterate, the attendance tracker is a separate website from Daxko Operations. It's fully mobile responsive. and all of the data is integrated into Daxko Operations. So if you're not using this tool today for your check-in, check-out processes and insights on your child care registrants today, this might be something that you want to have a conversation with Daxko about and see about adopting it, and maybe possibly replacing something you might be using outside of Daxko Operations.
What are some examples of some of those that using the attendance tracker and having this fully digitized experience, like in addition to the benefit of it being contactless or touch-free, what are some of those systems that it can replace?
It would definitely replace any of those systems where you might be wanting to capture the sign-in, sign-out process. This used to only be an iOS compatible. It was an app that Daxko had. So we've actually now moved to a mobile site that can be used on an iOS and or any type of computer. Mobile device. Another thing might be is that if you need storage of data in regards to your DHS or DHS processes, now you can have it living in Daxko Operations. A great thing about that is that also if it's digitized, not only will you see it in the attendance tracker, but then you have the capabilities within Daxko Operations to customize reports to extract that data also. So you have a myriad of reasons of why to do that. Then this time in, time out data that you maybe need to report to DHS or something like that for you to get paid. You have a lot of third-party billing for childcare. You can actually use the data out of the dashboard, export it, and upload it into those websites so that you don't have to manually track that or possibly even manually type it in or export it from another system to use it also.
Definitely, lots of great benefits there. I was just at a pediatrician's office and realized that even the pins, when going through and having to sign in and having to touch a pin, and they had a bucket for the clean pins and a bucket for the discarded pins used, and so something like this where you can just easily and contactless or have a touch-free way to manage this, I think is really great.
And Allison, just to kind of finish that off, since you're talking about it, the attendance tracker does have a parent mode that is kind of like a kiosk mode that somebody can type in a number and it will pull up the registrant children's attached to that number in Daxko Operations, and then they can complete the same check-in, check-out process. So if they did happen to have it, I know a lot of people are using Q-tips. That's the clean way to do it. And it's kind of cheap and easily to dispose as you use the Q-tip to type in your information on the screen and you dispose of the Q-tip. If that is a possibility for your staff and y'all have the SOPs to support it, using the parent mode would be a great contactless way to actually do check-ins, check-outs also.
So the next area, so looking at some of the online services and online management of processes, what are some ways that we can provide processes to be online or to surface things online?
Sure. So everybody knows since COVID's come along, it's really changed a lot of ways that we can, how do we interact with our members, our program participants, our community members. So a lot of that is really gearing around our online services. So one of the things I wanted to kind of make note of, these are time periods that you would want to go in and make sure within Daxko Operations that you have certain settings out there so that people can self-service themselves out there. A lot of this is coming around, do we do online memberships now that we never have in the past? Do we offer online registrations? Gosh knows we want to always make sure as nonprofits that we're being able to take donations. There's a myriad of things that we want to make sure that in Daxko Operations that we're providing the best user experience that we can online. Some of these things do work through what I said earlier is online settings. This is a permission-based area that has a lot of different things that controls the online user experience. One of the two things you see here is regarding online membership settings. This is where you can customize as your association, your Y, your J, makes a decision of what kind of things do you want to allow your members or program participants to do online. As you can see over here on the screen up under online membership settings, there's a bunch of things that you can choose from and make sure that a member or program participant or somebody can actually do these particular processes online. There's actually a new one that's out there now that will be the view capacity reports or view capacity status that is not on the screenshot. I apologize that it's not up to date. I just noticed that. But there are many other things that you want to look through and make sure that people can make payments online, that they can update their billing methods so that you still get paid and don't have to contact them in order to get that payment. Make sure that they can print receipts, childcare tax statements, be able to pay their donations online. So maybe you don't want to handle a paper check that's sent into you now. You can direct your donors now to pay their donations down online. There's a bunch of different things that you want to make sure that they can do that and self-service themselves, since you want to probably look at limiting the capacity of those people that need that contact at your front desk. Another thing that you'll notice on these online settings is a membership draft date. This is about driving revenue, guys. As somebody joins online, you have the opportunity, if you have multiple draft dates, to choose when those online joins are going to draft. And so if you need more revenue coming in towards the end of your month, maybe you might want to have all your online drafts go on the 15th versus the 1st. If you have multiple drafts more than the 1st and the 15th, you have that ability to change that around as you need to. This is a real-time setting. So the minute that you come in and change to a different draft date and update it, those people that are joining online, they will default to that draft date from then on. The last thing I want to really talk about this is the online URLs. These are common, what we call common URLs that you can take and embed into your website that then link into member-facing pages of Daxko Operations. Some of the ones to note right now is the online membership one, since a lot of people are moving in that route. The online membership URL means that when they click on that to join online, they will go to a screen that will allow them to see all membership types that are enabled for your association or branch, and then make an educated guess from there to go forward with your online membership. Another one that's pretty big on here is online account balance or account management. That particular one, I encourage everybody to make sure it's on your web page. It might say YMCA login, YMCA account management, something like that. What this does is this gives them a quick and easy way to log into their account and get those online services, whether that's to view program registrations, again, make a payment, print out a receipt, look at facility usage. All of those things are available online and quick and easy for self-service. The last one that I'm actually going to point out here is online giving, because it's going to segue into my next talking about. We do have a new online donation. You can actually use this URL here that will take you in, and it will give the opportunity for a donor to donate to any one of your campaigns that is open online. I will make a last note here before we move away from this. These are common URLs. If you want to customize a user experience from your website, there are many avenues within Daxko Operations to actually choose direct URLs and create that custom view or custom experience. Those are things that our customer service team can help with, and or if you have questions through the adoption program, we can help with you too.
That's great. I know that the members being able to service their account and kind of answer some of their own questions or be able to find some of this information themselves really does cut down hopefully on the, as we're limiting capacity and reopening, some slowly, but and some still kind of planning in the future to reopen, but as we're thinking through that, wanting to make sure that any information that members can get on their end and process on their end without needing to show up, that they are able to do so. And that way, when you've got people in your facility, you're able to focus on providing them that service and taking all the new precautions and really focusing on that versus trying to also balance helping someone out with their account. We know that
Sure.
Still will happen, but hopefully by enacting some of these, it minimizes that. And also thinking through online services, what are some ways that, I know you mentioned the online donations and online giving, but in terms of so we've looked at some ways to streamline and bring some services that you may have not had within Daxko Operations bring them in-house, but what are some ways that that we can really maximize revenue and look at boosting, not just cutting costs, but also boosting revenue and really making sure we're utilizing all the functions within Daxko Operations that are geared towards that.
Sure. So again, this kind of pairs back to nowadays where we have a focus around trying to provide that virtual content. And one of those things that we have been working for a while on is that creating a new donor experience. We did roll this out a couple of weeks ago. One of the things to note with this new online donation experience, what we are providing is within one page, like literally this screenshot right here is all that is required for your online donor to actually complete and actually donate to your organization. So just bear in mind that used to this went over 3 to 4 pages depending on how things panned out. So this is a really streamlined process. It allows people to easily give, and then you have the ability then to manage it in-house with a new reporting, and then insights with new reporting for it too. So if you're not doing online donations with Daxko currently, whether that is the process that you're using a separate a vendor for your online donations, I would encourage you to come back and kind of look at this on your training site and kind of test it. You can actually run through the full process of how the online donation process works now and how streamlined it is and how much you can work more fluently with your donors. Also nowadays through the online donations, as I mentioned earlier, one of the great things that we now have rolled out is that a donor can go in and pay their donation, a pre-existing donation online. And we have also rolled out to where they can get their tax statements online. For those of y'all that use our childcare module, you'll be familiar with that factor that we've had the childcare tax statements out there where you could actually get them in-house. You could email them out, or you could allow people to get them online on their to not cart abandonment during the online donation. So then maximize your donations, maximize your revenue as it's coming out. So I would really encourage people to look at the online donations features if they're not using it or if they're using another tool and revisit it at this point. The next thing that we actually do is this is a very underutilized tool. So we all know that marketing can be expensive. You have to figure out, you've got a few dollars as a nonprofit of how do we get ourselves out there? What do we do? You can get some free advertisement by word of mouth or social media. You can expand your social media presence by settings that are in Daxko Operations. All you need to do is go to your online settings, and within the online settings, there is an area that says online social media. We have an area where you can put your Twitter account and or your Facebook account. And if you do enter that information, all of your online users, when they complete a registration, whether it's for membership, whether it's for programs, camp or childcare, when they get to the checkout screen and the receipt screen, they will see exactly what you see on your screen right now where it says, welcome Sammy Test. And you'll see down there at the bottom, through this process now, they can follow you on Facebook easily, or they can start following you on Twitter, and or they can tweet out or share on Facebook a posting about them having joined you and like maybe, hey, I just joined the J. I'm so excited about getting back to working out. Looking forward to seeing all my friends, blah, blah, blah. Again, word of mouth, free advertisement. If you have Twitter or Facebook at your organization, you need to make sure that you actually have these filled in and are taking advantage of this to expand your social presence. And then last but not least on this is actually talking about the corporate portal. A lot of us out there, we have corporate partnerships and we're doing these third-party billings. So again, this is a great way to invite your corporate partners to come in and be part of the corporate portal. What this means is, once again, contactless services. Allow them to self-service themselves. You can control by your settings for corporate membership online what your person can do or can't do within that portal. There's a screenshot here. Amazon. Don't we all wish we had a partnership with Amazon, probably, with all the employees they have? But within that process, you can allow your corporate partner to end up making a payment based off of the invoice billing that is available out there, instead of them having to send you a check or you having to manually process it in-house. Again, saves resources, gets your money and your cash flow quicker. They actually, if you happen to be doing like on this particular one with Amazon, we have a credit card on file for them to be drafted each month for these payments. So maybe they've got a new corporate card. Instead of them having to get in contact with you to have it updated, they can go into the portal and actually update it themselves. One of the other two things that I really love about the portal, having worked in corporate membership myself when I worked for the Wise, is the factor down here where it says corporate membership and you have facility usage. So if you have an agreement with your third-party vendor, your corporate partner, that you have to provide facility usage to them on their members that are using your association, instead of having to run that every month and provide that to your corporate partner, you can invite them to the corporate portal and they can come in here and get that facility usage themselves as they need to. And then last but not least, manage enrollment. This throws a lot of people off, so I want to make sure that you understand exactly what this permission is. Because when I first saw it, I was like, wait a minute, I don't want my corporate partners going in and making sure, making a determination of who's a member, who's not. All this means is, like, say, for instance, you have 25 members that are a member through Amazon, and you get in contact with your point of contact at Amazon and say, hey, Allison, can you look over the list in the corporate portal and let me know that everybody's still employed with you? We're just kind of doing a check through to make sure these members are still eligible, we're still going to get paid, and that we're not having any problems. All they can go in and do in manage enrollment is to see who is listed as a member up under their corporation and see what type of membership they hold. They cannot make any changes online, but it's a great audit and monitoring tool that you can use through your corporate partner without having to send them a report to do that. Again, streamline those processes, allow for self-service, stop running reports to manually then send out to other people. Let them do it online if you can. And then that way it saves your time and resources and gets your money and your cash flow a lot quicker.
That's awesome. I know that providing those tools and as you said, the self-service, especially now, as we're looking at, we've got fewer hands on deck in a lot of cases, and just, and more procedures and more policies that are taking time to manage, and especially in terms of when you're thinking through bringing people back into your facility. So I think anything that makes teams more efficient and can streamline those processes is definitely worth a look. Let's see, we've already gotten some questions in, but just a reminder, submit those through the Q&A, and we're going to answer those in just a second. I wanted to quickly go through this resource. So Christy, all of these things that you've talked through today, they are such great things to keep an eye on. Of, are we using this functionality? Have we made sure that that this is turned on with the Daxko Operations? So if anyone has questions about how to answer that, like, am I using this or am I not using this? Especially maybe if it's something that that you're not necessarily used to, a process you're not used to managing, but maybe has come under your wing or has come under your hat. Now that we, in some cases are, have less people at associations or organizations to manage these processes. Can you walk us through how an organization could get more insight there?
Sure thing. So as you've seen throughout this presentation so far, you've seen some little snippets that have looked very similar to what you're seeing on the screen. And this is part of what we call our Daxko Operation Utilization Report. It's part of our adoption program. And what this is we wanted to make sure that you at any time can come in and actually get a quick overview of what are you using and what are you not using in Daxko Operations. So the utilization report can be requested at any time. And what this does, it goes through each module of Daxko Operations, along with a couple of back-end settings that we have for your association or your J. And then also we look at your website to see what are you providing, how are you providing it, what is that user experience, kind of that outside eye. And so what we do is we go through in Daxko Operations and look at some essential features that we think would be make your success in your business go forth. So with that being said, we look at opportunities to streamline process. That's what we've been talking about today. Improve online user experience and in-house user experience. It's just as important to make sure that your in-house users are just as happy as your online users. Means clean data, means happy people, means everybody's good. And then last but not least, if you get all that clean data in there and everybody's doing well, then that means you get better insights out of your reporting and your data analytics. So this is a whole thing that we look at in a holistic view of some essential features. Are you using them? If you are using them, are you using them to best practices? And maybe if it is that there is a feature that you're like, we really like it, but it doesn't really fit based off of our association or agency standards. Maybe we need to have a prescriptive talk and see if we can figure out a way for you to adopt the feature and then start utilizing and maximizing Daxko capabilities that are out there. So again, I said it goes through each and every module within Daxko Operations, and then even your website. One of the things that you can do is you can request this through the Daxko Help Center. If you do not have access to the Help Center, please go to daxko.com/help. I think it is. I should know that. It's saved on my link, so apologize, people. And then once you and request access. Once you get into the Help Center, go to Daxko Operations, go to Support, and you can click the link that says Daxko Operation Utilization Report. You can request this at any time, guys. It is free. It does not cost your associate and your agency, your organization, anything to request it. I normally turn these around in about 5 business days from the time that they are requested. I actually email them out to the person who requested, and then within that, I actually provide a link to my calendar and encourage you to schedule a consultation call. The consultations call is free because we want to make sure that you can take the results from the utilization report, interpret them, and then go back and maybe reevaluate and or increase your adoption of features and things that are out there. One of the things to note, several of y'all have taken advantage of this over the past, I've been with Daxko about a little over 3 years now, is this is a living and breathing document. So as new functionalities and features come out, this changes periodically based on, is there a new feature or functionality that we really feel like is essential? I'll give you a great one that just came out kind of like pre-COVID and it's kind of sitting out there, admin adjustments. For many years, even as an old Daxko customer, I wanted the ability to not allow some of my adjustments to show up for my frontline users or only for specific users. You now have that capability. That is something that is noted on the utilization report because that impacts your finances and how well you can report on them. So if you haven't taken advantage of part of the adoption program today or haven't seen a utilization report, or even want to see a new one, want to see updated and see how have we increased, what have we not done, go to Daxko Help Center today and request a utilization report, and then hopefully we can schedule the free consultation call and then help you maximize your use of Daxko Operations. And then Allison, we have a lot of other things out there now to help out too.
Yes, we do. So some other resources, especially thinking through the time that we are in and looking at, that, some of as states and cities begin to lift some stay-at-home orders and we're thinking through reopening plans, wanting to make sure that we're reopening as successfully and sustainably and as safely as possible. We've got some resources. So throughout this, throughout the crisis with COVID-19, we have put resources and all of the webinars we have done, information about our Rapid Recovery Toolkit, which are free trials of our solutions. So not just Daxko Operations, but also any of our solutions that, Daxko Engage, SMS texting. If you are interested in any of those that you are not utilizing, we are offering some trials on those. So you can just hit a form and request utilizing any part of the Rapid Recovery Toolkit. Again, as I mentioned, those webinar recordings, messages from our leaders. So Ron, you can see there's a video he's recorded and is on our page, so you can view any of those messages and data trends. We have actually launched a new podcast. So our lovely Saranda West is the host of that podcast, and she has interviewed leaders at different nonprofits, just talking through, how they're managing this, their way through this crisis, and how we can come out of it on the other side even stronger. With the focusing on our communities. So we've got 6 episodes to date of that podcast, and then also the trends. So the national trends we're seeing across organizations with check-ins, pledges, just how this crisis has affected the landscape in terms of our organization. So all of that information, plus again those webinar recordings, is available at daxko.com/COVID-19. In addition, we just released actually our second version, so version 2.0 of the reopening playbook. So again, safe, successful, sustainable reopening. This was a resource that was developed with many leaders throughout health and fitness. Several YMCAs and JCC leaders met to discuss and provide recommendations here. It uses the CDC recommendations, but really wanting to create some standard operating procedures for health and fitness, and thinking through all the different aspects of your facilities and all the different aspects of your business, and how reopening will affect your procedures and your policies and your areas. So this is a very comprehensive resource, but it's available on our website as well, daxko.com. So go there to find our 2.0 version, which has some updated recommendations and a little bit more in-depth information. But again, as Christy said, the utilization report is an evolving document. Our reopening playbook is going to be an evolving document. If you have any suggestions for if you look through it and you think, hey, my facility just opened up, this is something we've encountered, we'd love to provide this recommendation and add some information here, or add some recommendations in any particular section, please let us know. You can email us at marketing@daxko.com with that information. So those are just 2 resources that our COVID response page, and then also our reopening playbook. Those are both available on the website. So now, Christy, we've got lots of time for some questions, so we can really dig in here. So I'm just gonna go through them, and then if you've got a question that has come into mind, please send it through the Q&A or the chat panel, and we will go through those now. So we have a question. Can you remind us how to post a waiver and include the e-signature piece?
So when you say post a waiver, that I would probably need a little bit of clarification, but I'm going to take a stab at it, is like, how do you activate it? So a waiver or agreement can actually be captured during any particular registration process, whether that's membership, childcare, camp, or programs. And then as far as capturing the e-signature, as you're setting up the agreement, then you would require signature for online. Bear in mind, if you do turn on e-signatures for online, it will create that you have to have some type of process in-house to address I agree type in box that comes up in-house. So ideally, if you're going to turn on e-signatures for online, you need to also have the process to do it in-house too. Actually answered a question offline through the Q&A on this, and Daxko does recommend the Topaz signature pads for the e-signatures internally in-house. And there is a documentation on the Daxko Help Center up under knowledge articles. There is an article that's called Hardware and Software that will give you all the information regarding what processes work with that.
Awesome. Okay, so another question, can you remind us how to get to the corporate online portal?
Yeah, so you actually have to invite your partner. So when you are setting up a third party or an organization to be a third party membership billing, you actually can set up a person that would be your contact as the person that's associated to that organization. And you send via that organization, you visit their profile in the organization, and you can send an email from that inviting them to the corporate portal. It will send an email out to them, and then they will actually have the opportunity to log into the portal, set up their password and all that. If they ever forget their password, they can actually reach out to you. Again, go back into the organization, find their contact name on that organization. You can send them a reset password link also. So that all is built through the organization. So you pick and choose who you want to invite to that corporate portal. It's just not open season on it.
And then we had another question that was, I believe it was on the online services. So where to go to get that, to see that view in Daxko Operations. So the turning on all the different online, I believe it was.
Yeah, so that is actually what we call up under the systems menu. It is permission based because that does control your entire association or agency. So this is a very high level permission. You can't set it by branch. So whatever these settings are that are on this particular page, this is going to be for your entire site. Within this, you go to Daxko Operations where you would normally log out and click on it. That's your system menu. If you have permission, it will show up under, there's manage user, manage roles, and then I think agreements, and then online settings. I think, if I can remember the list out correctly, that shows in the drop down box. But again, it's permission based. So if you're not seeing it, it's quite possibly that you don't have permission. If you are an admin and you don't see it, you do need to add this to your permissions. So go to your user, and actually it's up under system options area of permissions, and it's called online manage online settings is what the permission is. And kind of talking about that a little bit, I'm going to jump in here. One of the persons asked about, they had put manage additional members as an online setting to allow. If you are going to allow that setting online, you need to make sure you have very good age groups set up to allow very thorough membership rules to ensure that you can enforce your association or agency standards. So if somebody is actually being able to join outside of compliance of what your membership offerings are online, then you would need to probably look at your membership roles and look at changing them so that you can enforce compliancy online. Knowing that you can always make exceptions in-house of those membership roles, but if you're going to do manage additional members online, then you need to make sure those membership rules are very solid. So I was looking over a couple of other questions here. So one of the things I do see here is something about a link for operations for the attendance tracker. It is a separate website. So there is both a attendance tracker training area, and there is the attendance tracker that's integrated to your live site. And both of those URLs are available in the documentation regarding the attendance tracker so that you can obtain those. If you have a username and password for Daxko Operations, then you can log into the attendance tracker and see that information. Let's see. An organization listed under partners. So yeah, so I think one of these is it's asking about organizations part of membership tab. Is it independent? So we have online membership settings, which has to do with your program participants, your members, your general public that you're dealing with. The corporate portal is actually gone through. That's where you've set up an organization in Daxko Operation, mark them as a third-party membership organization, and then at that point, you'll have the ability to work through the corporate portal with them. Fast giving. So what is fast giving? So those of y'all that have online donations right now, Fast giving is, for lack of a better way of kind of saying it, like a ghost unit that your donors go to if there is not a conclusive match of the data that they provide during their online donation process. You have the ability within Manage Online Donations report that's now available under fundraising to then decide whether there is a match within Daxko Operations that you want to add them to, or create a new unit and then go from there. If you just do not, until such time that you merge them into match them to a particular unit or create a unit from that online donation, they will live up under fast giving. If you say there is no match, they will live up under a fast giving, and that is not a reversible process. However, even though it's not reversible, we do have some ways that you can go in and then manage those particular givers or donors in another way. So if that's something that you're struggling with a little bit, please contact our customer service team, and they can help you walk through those processes of being able to get into the fast giving ghost unit, for lack of a better way of saying it, and then be able to manage some of those people that might have been attached to it. Let's see.
We got a request to do a childcare webinar on the attendance tracker, and then some other things with the program. So that is absolutely something we can do. Our adoption team that Christy sits on are always putting out webinar content. So in addition to the more COVID focused webinars that we've done and things like reopening safely, we are always putting out content around different pieces of our system and different functionalities. So we will look at the schedule and look at what's coming up for childcare, but absolutely send that information out. So great suggestion. We wanted to dive in and help provide those resources as we can.
Yeah, I was kind of reading through a couple of others. Again, and one thing to note is that if you do request a utilization report and take advantage of the consultation call, one of the things that I start off the call with is, have you looked over, we call it the rundown, by the way. The utilization report in our world, we call it the rundown, because we're going to give you a rundown of what are you using, more importantly, what are you not using, what could you adopt to streamline services, improve user experience, and gain better reporting and data analytics. All that said, if you do the consultation call, I'm going to ask you what specific things stuck out to you during this when you looked over the results. And if there's something that you're like, hey, I really want to know about this, I want to know this, I want to do this, that's the things we'll focus on. And then if we need time to delve more prescriptively into that, we can most of the time schedule some what I call one-off calls to actually then prescriptively talk about those particular features or functionalities for your association, your agency, your organization, and see if we can figure out how to get over some hurdles or pain points that you may have to make sure that you can maximize that feature that's in Daxko Operations. And I say that in kind of answer to some of the questions that's come across. We can definitely get into a little bit more details on this, but I really think that more of a personal conversation around this, and whether you want to go through the adoption program and go through the utilization report, the rundown, consultation call, or if you want to contact our customer service team, some of these questions can be answered for them. But if you are looking for a prescriptive answer, then maybe it is that we need to put you through the adoption program and see what answers we can provide to you. And one of the things that was asked, and I kind of answered offline, but you might have already said it, and I apologize, Allison, while I was typing away, is that this recording is going to be available on the Daxko Help Center up under previous webinars, and then also will be available on the Daxko Connection calendar on this date. So there's two different ways you can access it if you would like it.
And we will also we'll email out the
email it out too.
And we also, we have another session this week. So looking again, kind of along the theme of streamlining, making your team more efficient. The webinar on Thursday at 11:30 a.m. Central Time. It's either 11 or 11:30, but we will send out an email to let you know. Is about outsourcing payment management. So our wonderful payments team will be leading us through some data that we're seeing on return payments and that process, and then we will look at some ways to outsource that and utilize some of the expertise on our team. So that is Thursday, May 21st, and that recording also, if you can't attend live, will be posted. But just keep an eye out in your inbox. We are always emailing about these new sessions. As I mentioned, potential childcare session to dive deep into that resource. But we always, in addition to the invites, we send out the recordings after the fact, as well as posting them on Daxko's Connection, so that you can access them or send them to your team after. But again,
Go ahead, Allison.
I was going to say, if we didn't get to your question, we will absolutely we'll take it offline and address it there. As Christy mentioned, if it was something that was drilled down a little bit into more specifics that we would need to reach out to another member of our team to follow up with, we will absolutely do that. But don't forget the Daxko.com our reopening playbook is available there, as well as our COVID-19 resource page. So those pages are both available on our website, and you can go there and grab those resources as they become available.
I'm actually going to, there's two questions that came up that I'm going to answer. One of them is a really quick one for you, Lori. Roll Call is an iOS only app that's old. We actually, if you're using that, we really encourage you to move over to Attendance Tracker, which is a mobile responsive website that's fully integrated and has a ton more functionality that than Roll Call provides. A second thing, and Jeff, you're kind of giving me a little segue, and since we've got some time here, you asked about, can members scan in for online classes? We rolled out virtual branch to allow you to capture online check-ins. So if you're offering virtual content, and especially if you have insurance memberships such as Silver Sneakers, Silver and Fit, AARP, any of those kind of places, most of those insurance companies are, if you're providing virtual content and you get a check-in on that member, you can still turn it in as a visit and get paid. So that keeps your revenue up. So a good way to make sure that you're able to do that. There is documentation about the virtual branch. It just rolled out last week. Man, my weeks are rolling into each other, so apologize. It's on the Daxko product blog, and I believe there's also some information. We might have had a Pendo banner coming up in Daxko Operations regarding that. If you have problems finding it, Jeff, please reach out to our customer service team. They have a quick document. You can look over it, and basically you just turn it on and embed it into your website where you feel it is best used. And then I say put your virtual content behind that check-in process, and that ensures that they're getting there. Great way and great way to, again, keep up that revenue. Make sure you have some money coming in the door, even though the members might not be walking in the door. So yeah.
Absolutely, definitely something to keep in mind.
And then last but not least on that, and I'm sure hopefully everybody visited or watched Becky's webinar last week about limiting branch capacity or area capacity, and then she preempted the fact that we know a lot of your insurance companies are now requiring that you put some information in your agreements about COVID. And so we've rolled out an enhancement. We rolled it out on Friday that will allow you to go in and utilize agreements, set up an agreement, mark that it needs to be signed prior to them using the facility, and then Daxko will help you track whether that person has actually signed that agreement or not. So if they haven't signed it, then when they check in, they'll get an access deny. It will show on your screen that they need to sign the agreement in order to come in. There's an easy process to complete that. And then we even have a reporting in Daxko Operations. It's called Facility Usage Agreements up under Membership. And then you can report up under that and actually communicate to your active members right now, because we think that most of y'all will want to open your doors for people that are been paying and stuck with you first. And then especially if you're doing branch capacity, and you can get these customized URLs per unit, email it out to them and encourage them to sign it before they ever walk in the door. And all of that's there for that functionality and helping you gain what your insurance company is needing you to get based on the answers to COVID.
And so you don't have to have them fill out a paper form while you're
exactly there you go again, contactless processes. Exactly.
No clean pin bucket and dirty pin bucket.
Exactly. Or no Q-tips, no need for Q-tips. So yes.
Well, thank you all so much for joining us today. Again, as I said, if we didn't get to your question, we will address it and follow back up with you offline. But definitely our webinar on Thursday is at 11 a.m. Central Time. That is about outsourcing payments. And then we will continue to let you know the sessions that we schedule and the resources that we're collecting from information that we learned from all of you as we continue to reopen and look towards a strong recovery. So thank you, Christy, for sharing all of that information with us today. And thank you all for joining us and spending some time learning about streamlining your processes. But we will see you during our next session, and we hope that you and your teams and communities are staying safe and staying well.
Thanks, y'all. Bye.